Hi, welcome back to Susan's Kitchen Corner, and this is the continuation of vanilla honeycomb pancakes, which you can also use orange water or rose water. I used vanilla and homemade vanilla, and so take some oil, put a little. This is a very hot pan, but I already did it. Take the oil, pour a little dollop in there, a little bit. Take your paper towel, rip some off, and then wipe the pan down so it's not because we're not frying the pancakes. And again, if you feel you need to add a little bit more milk, go ahead. That's no problem. But just try to keep this batter as thick as possible. We're going to take a little spoonful out. Try not to make it messy. Put it right here. Make it into a circle. Maybe it'd help if I turn my pan back on. Oh man. Okay. Well, that's another tip to do too. If the pan is getting too hot, turn it off and reheat it, because what that does is a lot of times you'll be making the pancakes and the pan gets too hot and I'll cook the pancake too fast. So what we're going to be looking for now is, I got this on between low and medium low right now because we want to make this a little bit faster. But what we're going to look for is these little bubbles. This is one of the few pancakes you do not turn over. You don't flip. It cooks on one side. See all these nice bubbles coming up? As soon as all these nice bubbles vent through and let the heat through, and this is all cooked up here, you want to transfer it to your plate right here, because from the plate it goes into your mouth. We're going to have these for breakfast tomorrow. These are for tomorrow. I like cooking breakfast ahead of time. That's just me. Now, if anytime you feel this pan's getting too hot, turn it down. Turn it off. It's perfectly fine. It's like a lot of recipes, they never tell you that. It's perfect. Now, if you turn it off and walk away for 2 hours, no, don't, because your food's gonna be ruined. But while you're here in front of your food and you're like, oh my God, it's getting too hot, turn it off. Let the pan cool down. Restart. And I know I'm going to probably do a gas rant right now, but I'm going to take this off. You see how this has a ring of fire here? Well, what ends up happening is you only heat that certain area, and then from this area, that circle is the hottest, and then when you get out here, it actually temperature drops a little bit. So it's almost like cooking. It drives me nuts because I want to cook the whole thing. I don't want to cook part of it. And as you can see, it's cooking over here more, not so much in here, and it's a little bit here. So it's uneven heat, and we need even heat. But I've got a gas oven, a stove oven, got the whole works. Okay, so if that's the case, move your pan around. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but let me see I can't see anything on my screen. But see how this is right here? It's kind of getting nice, and it's not wet looking. That's what we're going for. We don't want the wet look. Now, I just turned this down to low, and I gotta be careful because when I turn it down to low and the pan's hot, it still will burn. So that's something I always have to keep in mind. And it's one of the joys of working with gas. And let's lift this up. Use a handy dandy spatula. Why is it sticking? Yeah, it's brown. Now, okay, these aren't supposed to be turned over, but okay, let's say, well, it's getting brown and on low, and it's still tacky. There's no law that says you can't do this. Now see how brown that is? That's on the verge of being too brown, but it's okay. So turn it over, press it down a little bit, cook the rest of that real quick. And there's your honeycomb pancake with a little bit of brown on it. So see right here? This is all nice and dry. It's not tacky. And again, it does take some practice. I gotta work with what I have. And this is brown. If you want it a little bit lighter, I suggest turn it off and then reheat it. So let's put that on our plate. Now let's do another one. I'm going to turn my oven, my thing off. So let's get another spoonful. Now again, my burner is completely off, and as you can see, it's very hot. And by adding the batter to the pan that's off, that will cool the pan. So there's no problem. See? No burner. It's not on. So sometimes when you do pancakes and you want them to all have the even consistency look, and you're like, it's getting out of hand because the pan's getting too hot and it's smoking. I have it. I'm going to admit it. I've had it happen. It's just part of being in the kitchen. It's like there's no perfect cook out there. It's like because you get distracted or something, or you're doing something else. It's just the way it works. It's like you do the best job you can, and if you lose one to the fate of the pan, no big deal. Okay, now I can see right now it's really cool, so we're going to turn this back on to low, and let's get those bubbles going again. Now, if you want, these are really good with maple syrup. Okay, a dollop of butter, maple syrup, because the maple syrup kind of goes into all the holes. Yummy. Might have to taste one of these tonight just to see how they came out. And I think I'm going to have to taste this one. It's kind of hard not to taste your own cooking when you're making it. See, it's fun. It's like when you're watching TV, it's that bada boom, bada bing, everything's done instantly. Not when you're cooking at home. It doesn't work that way. But cooking can still be fun. It's almost like it's your Zen moment. Yeah, all you're doing is focusing on the food, nothing else. It smells good. It looks good. And we're going to turn this up a little bit, just a tad bit. Now, if I was to turn this on medium high, we'd have burnt honeycomb pancakes all over the place. And it doesn't say to do this in to turn it over, but that's what I recommend. That's just if it's just not getting non-tacky. If it's still tacky and you're like, oh man, I just had it on there so long and it's not doing anything, flip it over, cook it, and that'll be fine. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to turn out the low. So it's basically adjusting. Look at all those bubbles. All those little holes you see are where the pancake batter is going to, the pancake batter, excuse me, the maple syrup and the butter are going to go, and it's going to fill up into yumminess. Let's make sure this is not sticking. Check the bottom. Now when it's like that, it's still tacky, but you can check the bottom. Now again, it's creeping up the sides. You can actually watch it as it starts to dry out. I'll creep up the sides. I'm going to turn this off right now, because again, I don't want it to be this brown, but that's still passable. Now if this was black, I wouldn't eat it. It's extra dark brown. So over here it's nice, not tacky. Now if you're like, okay, the bottom, of course the bottom isn't looking very brown. But let's say, my God, there's so much tackiness. Let's just do it right now. See, it's a little better, see? I won out with this one. I always like the patterns of pancakes on the bottom because they're so pretty. Make all these different just really neat patterns. Press it down a little bit. Voila! Feel it? Done. Now see, this one turned out a lot better, and I didn't have to cook it out. See how it's a little bit browner here? But that's perfectly fine. Either way, it's like they're all going to have their own little characteristic. It's all dry, it's not tacky, and it's nice and golden brown on the other side. And remember, if you have a stove where you can cook it lower and make it tacky all the way across without flipping it over, great. But this is what you call troubleshooting, and in cooking you have to do that. So I will leave you at that. I'll post a picture of this with the goodies on it, and hope you enjoyed the video. I know you didn't enjoy my voice because I still sound garbled. Well, I sound like me. Anyway, toodles.